Hi everyone. I usually don't do videos about topics like this. I try usually staying back a little bit from anything that's super controversial, but this is also a case where it's a topic that's very, very current and important enough that I think it deserves its own level of care and response. And it's the current state of artificial intelligence. Everybody has wore this topic out, so I'm gonna try to avoid any emotional approaches to this situation, but I just thought it proper to make a video kind of regarding the situation at hand. So recently, Google has decided that their search engine will basically be turned into something more of a chatbot. The idea that there will be blue links and all that for a search engine, they have deemed that a thing of the past, and they are moving forward with changing a whole lot. I don't know why that's the straw that broke the camel's back for me. I don't know why that kind of spurned me forward to try to make a video on this. But nonetheless, I just really wanted to mention a few things for all those who are kind of on the fence and don't really know what to think of this. I hesitate to call it technology at this point. It's unfortunately more of an industry. But so to start off with just the facts, it's technically not costing us anything. That's something that a lot of the companies like telling us. These are improvements that they are giving to us for free. And we'll get into that later. But it's really currently just a bunch of companies handing each other money in a circle. Just the way it is. There's very little external investment from, the common public individual, from the public sector. It's mostly just, this circle jerk, if you will. I don't mind getting demonetized. I don't make any money on these videos. But what can't be argued is the resource spending on data centers. It's horrible. It's horrible. When AI first kind of came about, it was something that I personally didn't give much thought to. I had the boon of actually beta testing some of the earliest image generation AI back in 2021, 2022. And I thought it was pretty neat. Didn't work super great, but it was a thing of you never think about how is this being processed, and the fact that you would need something the size of a massive building the second that a lot of people start using it. And these data centers, they're encroaching on a lot of these rural communities who can't really afford to fight them off. And those who do, still, there's a level of tension and encroachment in these areas for these massive data centers. They pollute the water. They take up a bunch of obviously land and resources and property. They make a good bit of noise. Fun fact. I actually lived in Maryland for a little bit when data centers started popping up. So it's a thing of there's definitely a consciousness on the negativity surrounding these very, very negative parts of the AI industry. Another sector that has been very much infected is the tech industry, hardware droughts. I know that a lot of tech bros and people within the PC building community have felt the hardware droughts, because what a lot of companies have started doing is selling. There's been more scarcity created by these AI companies pulling components from. Pulling's the wrong word. These mass orders of stuff like RAM, random access memory modules, for these data centers, because you need all these different components to help process them. Graphics processing units is another thing, but it's more the components that go into these components that are just bought en masse by these AI companies, and it's created some horrible hardware droughts that unfortunately these companies who also sell and manufacture these components take advantage of. So that's why we see RAM and GPU price skyrocketing, because at some point it's like, well, if you're making a ton of money as a company anyway from all of these data center orders, then and you can afford to charge more in the consumer sector because of the consumer sector because of scarcity. There's no why would you want to make more, use more resources? You can make as much money as you want. There's so few instances where AI has helped. It's just a case of there are so many small news articles where like, oh, this is how AI is helping us. It's in, oh, we're putting it in the medical industry, we're putting it in some level of clerical processing, we're doing fill in the blank. It hasn't actually helped. The AI that's used in those cases is mostly just basic implementation or programming, and where it is implemented, it's to a higher extent. When it's implemented to a higher extent, it's slowly pushing people out of jobs. And we see this with the recent update with Meta, where they are under a little bit of heat for mass surveilling their own employees, not out of distrust, but so they can feed that information for training for AI that will replace them. I hate using this word because it's used a lot, but it's frankly really dystopian. It's super disheartening, and it's bad. It's bad. The last little bit on the objective bits is it's too late to be useful. I mean this in a genuine sense. Google recently updated for one of their press briefing. I don't know what it was, but during an event, they basically showed off what their AI, Gemini, can do. And it's kind of like what we thought Siri would be back on like the iPhone 4. But like working super well, but it's a thing of like at this point, it's too late. It's too late for this to be useful. It's already caused too much harm. These data centers have already been built. The public already just has too much disdain for it. It's too late for this to be useful. And some people, it's the idea of, okay, well, if it's useful to me, it kind of offsets the guilt of the rest of this, which it shouldn't. I mean, I'm not telling anybody how to feel, but it's one of those things of, especially with the whole Google search engine thing, the second that we're the biggest search engine in the world for the last 25 years or so is going to be reduced to AI agents that just collect data for you, and only what they collect you're shown. That's horrible. I don't know. Maybe it's just I'm part of a just very vibrant and vocal minority, but I think that what the bigger issue is, because I mentioned how technically this doesn't cost us as consumers anything outside of the physical resources that are taken up and the pollution created by the data centers and the hardware droughts. List is kind of long, but outside of that, we're not actively paying into it. But I think that's the issue, is this is the direction that these companies are taking without any of our support. And the idea is because they can't sell this. The idea is AI, you cannot sell AI right now. Look at Sora. Sora AI shut down, one of the best, if not the best, generative AI video app. Completely shut down because they literally admitted that it took $10 million a day to keep it up and running, which is insane. It was either a day or a month. Feel free to look it up. It was a lot of money. And they shut down because it's just not sustainable. It's not flippin' sustainable. And so it's a thing of, well, why are they, but so if you can't sell something to somebody, you make it the norm. You package it with something. Copilot if you're going Windows. Gemini if you're going Google. Like the list goes on. And that's really more of the issue. It's not that it's like, oh, I'm not paying anything for it. Great, that's good. But that's not the issue. The issue is companies deeming what we need and don't need, not based off of our choice, but based off of what they want to be able to show their shareholders when, you know, Windows is like, oh, look how many people use Copilot AI. It's like, well, yes, because they use it as in the fact that it's pre-installed on every Windows 11 device, and it's very difficult to turn off and get off until somewhat recently. But even then, it's like you have to search through settings. It's very dumb. And them deeming that we need AI, that should raise more of a red flag than not. We have a right to how we perceive something. We have a right to that. Those emotions, those feelings, we have a right to it, even if the reasoning is somewhat, debatable. It's just a case of what you do, what the actions that you take, those have to be justifiable. But this kind of, the best term for it is a sort of digital colonialism, being companies coming in with this mentality of basically, you don't have to do anything. We'll bring the innovation to you. This idea that they will bring that change, that alteration to a way of life, be it mild, to us. All we have to do is sit still. All we have to do is remain immobile. And that's it. That's it. Like, it's the idea of if somebody cannot sell something that is going to benefit them, then they will interweave it into other areas of life so it can work like that. And mass surveillance comes to mind. I have to hit on it. I have to do it justice because this is a very big issue. The idea originally of, you had all these conspiracy theorists, oh, the government's watching you and whatnot. And one of the easiest ways to somewhat disprove that, unless like you're a felon or there's a special focus on you by a government agency, was you can't survey everybody. You just don't have enough eyes on people. You don't have enough places to store all the information. You don't have time to sift through it. And even though AI has a history of being very bad when it comes to pulling relevant information, mass surveillance with artificial intelligence, because artificial intelligence's big thing is combing through data sets. That's what it has been since day one, years and years ago, is pulling data from a large swath of sources, compiling it, searching through it, sort of tilling the soil, so to speak. And with mass surveillance, they can do that now. I say that in the US. They're already doing it in the US. The United States of America is setting up mass surveillance systems, and some states and some towns are fighting back on it. They're saying, no, we won't have flock cameras. We will not be China. We will not be the sheep that will benefit you. But even then, there's these cities and these states who are okay with taking a handout from the government and these companies to set up these mass surveillance cameras with the use of artificial intelligence. And part of me is like, okay, well, this shows that there is a use for AI, even if it's immoral. But also, it's proven to not work. It's just proven to not work. There have been tens of, and that's just the ones who've reached the news, tens of people who have been just completely framed by AI for stuff they didn't do. There was a woman who was convicted based on AI surveillance, and while she was in jail, she basically lost everything. House, property, she lost everything. And by the time that it was like, oh, turns out it's fabricated, you got the wrong guy, you can go home now. She doesn't have anywhere to go home to. It's stuff like that. And it's crazy. Like, that's the point where that's what should bother you. It's not that I don't have to pay a penny for it. It's not that you don't have to pay a penny for it. It's because we don't. And they are still implementing this. It is the biggest mark forward of, you really don't have to do anything. You can do nothing and this will still happen. So that's why we need to push back against it. This is the part where it's going to get a little preachy. You can, skip ahead or close out the video. But we really need to be vocal about how much we dislike this. Boycott stuff. Truly boycott stuff. Google, use a different search engine. Just don't fucking use Google. Like if you're using Windows, try to keep it to a minimum. Turn off Copilot. Little stuff like that. I don't expect anybody to go and march on any capital yet. As nice as that would be, and as everybody likes a spectacle, but no. But we need to make it so clear how much the public does not like this. In regards to the future, I am a little more optimistic than I think a lot of people are. I think that there are so many people who dislike this that the clock's ticking. The clock's just ticking. You have a huge amount of people who just hate it so much, especially from like a younger demographic. I'm like really surprised that my generation, Gen Z, has had as negative of an opinion of it as they do. But it just shows that you just gotta wait. We gotta wait until these higher ups, these companies, have nowhere else to sell to, and it's just time. It's just time. All those corrupt, politics. I'm gonna say corrupt. I hate these blanket terms that have been made meaningless from clickbait and passionate but uneducated orators. But these corrupt politicians, once they are gone, one way or another, the new generations underneath it have such a negative opinion that there'll be turnover. There just will be. We can melt down that infrastructure, that AI stuff, if it's still there, and just in general, like, nothing ever stays the same. And I think that even though there's a global perception that Americans are not the most educated, I think that we are so passionate about our freedoms. We are so passionate about our liberties that the second that we figure out that something is encroaching on them, we need to do something. For the sake of everything, for the sake of our history. Everybody talks about the sacrifices of those who came before us. It's not just blood. We don't need blood. We don't need to kill people in order to get this done. This is a case of we need to make it clear we don't like it and make change from there. I don't know what form that's going to take. As I said, it's not up to me to say, oh, you got to go march on your capital. You got to become these hordes that you see on TV. No. Nope. But you need to make your opinion known. Even if 100 other people are making it. That should be encouraging. Sure, it's an echo chamber sometimes. The way algorithms work, heaven knows Instagram and YouTube, they will feed you what you want to see. But that's why you need to keep making it clear. You need to keep making it clear if you dislike this. You just need to propagate that. Just the way it is. Yes, you don't gotta march on anything. Just maybe help educate somebody who's on the fence. Not somebody who's like super into AI, because people have a tendency to sort of clam up when they face opposition. Keeping an open mind is huge. So that's why don't go full bore, but another case of still, put in a little bit of energy for those who are on the fence about it. Older people who might not know the current state of affairs of it or the negatives and might just see new technology. As I said, don't be arrogant about it, but any opportunity to educate is good. I had the blessing of graduating college about a month ago. I graduated with a major in global and international studies in social science, with a focus on European studies, and I minored in history. And from everything that I've learned, I can say that we have never seen anything like this in history. The Industrial Revolution was a beginning, but even then, machines would never replace people. They were told back then because they needed people to operate them. And now this is where it's slowly changing. And now we need to have that same sense of urgency that our forefathers had so many hundreds of years ago. Even just 100 years ago. It doesn't have to be super far. I'm not talking like going all the way back to mills and weaving machines. I'm talking like the big machines. The modern times Charlie Chaplin type stuff. That kind of mentality. But just all those people who faced progress with the optimism and focus that their future deserved. We need to harness that. I don't know what form it's going to take, um, but I guess I just wanted to say my piece. I wish you all the best, and thank you.